Lucy's story unfolds in a neighborhood characterized by crumbling buildings and cracked sidewalks. Every day felt like a relentless battle for survival. Her mother, a single parent, was the anchor of their tumultuous world, working tirelessly to make ends meet. She was a resilient woman whose strength shone through even on the darkest of days. Their small, dimly lit apartment served as a reflection of their modest means. The furniture was a mismatched collection of second-hand pieces, and the peeling wallpaper whispered tales of better days long gone. Despite their humble surroundings, Lucy's mother did her best to create a warm and loving home for her daughter. Lucy, a quiet and introspective girl, often found solace in the world of books and the strokes of her drawing pencil. These were fleeting moments of escape, precious windows into a world where dreams knew no bounds. The characters in her books became her friends, and the blank pages of her sketchbook were a canvas for her imagination. But these respites were brief, mere pauses in a tumultuous existence that she couldn't ignore. The daily struggles of life were always lurking in the background, an inescapable presence that no amount of daydreaming could dispel. As she grew up, Lucy couldn't help but become a reluctant observer of her mother's relentless battle with money. They lived on the edge of financial instability, constantly teetering on the precipice of poverty. There were nights when dinner consisted of nothing more than a can of soup, and a grocery list was often a futile wish. The neighbors, living seemingly different lives, provided an undeniable and sometimes painful contrast. The house next door, for instance, was a pristine two-story structure with a white picket fence. It stood as a stark reminder of the life Lucy's mother had always dreamed of providing for her daughter. The grass was always neatly trimmed, and a family car sat in the driveway. Lucy couldn't help but gaze at that house, a symbol of everything they didn't have. In school, Lucy excelled academically. Her diligence was her ticket out of their challenging circumstances. She buried herself in her studies, determined to create a better life for herself and her mother. Yet, despite her academic prowess, she struggled to form connections with her peers. Her introverted nature made her an easy target for bullies. In a world where fitting in often meant sacrificing individuality, Lucy's quiet demeanor and unconventional interests set her apart. She found solace in the corners of the school library, where she could lose herself in books and dream of a brighter future. But for Lucy, school was a bittersweet escape. When the final bell rang and she returned home, she faced the harsh reality of their modest, cluttered apartment. The stress that permeated the air was palpable. Money was a constant source of worry, and Lucy's mother would often stay up late into the night, poring over bills and trying to make the numbers add up. Yet, amidst all the hardship, Lucy's mother always wore a brave face. She would smile at her daughter and reassure her that things would get better, that they were a team. It was a promise she held on to even when the darkness of their circumstances threatened to overwhelm her. Lucy, too, held on to that promise. She clung to the belief that one day, her mother's sacrifices would pay off, and they would escape the suffocating grip of poverty. Each night, she would close her eyes and imagine a world where their struggles were a distant memory. As Lucy's childhood unfolded against this tumultuous backdrop, she couldn't help but wonder if there was more to life than the relentless battle for survival. She yearned for a chance to spread her wings, to escape the confines of their rundown neighborhood, and to chase her dreams with unwavering determination. In the quiet corners of her room, she would sketch visions of a future where she could be anything she wanted to be. The pages of her sketchbook were filled with images of bustling cities, serene landscapes, and faces that reflected a multitude of emotions. Each stroke of her pencil was a declaration of her resilience and an assertion that her dreams were worth pursuing. Little did she know that her journey would be fraught with challenges, but it would also be marked by unexpected encounters and moments of profound transformation. The pages of her life were waiting to be filled, and the story of Lucy's resilience was just beginning. Lucy's life had been a roller coaster of adversity, and the teenage years brought the darkest dip yet. Her mother, the unwavering beacon of strength in their turbulent world, fell seriously ill. Days blurred into nights spent in sterile hospital rooms, where the harsh, fluorescent light seemed to reflect the stark reality of their situation. Doctors and nurses in white coats came and went, their expressions veiled by professional detachment. They spoke in hushed tones and delivered words that felt like blows to the heart. Each diagnosis and prognosis was a crushing weight that Lucy couldn't bear to fully comprehend. Despite her mother's declining health, Lucy held on to a glimmer of hope. She clung to the belief that her mother's indomitable spirit would conquer any illness. The sacrifices her mother had made over the years, the sleepless nights and the tireless work, were all testaments to her unwavering love for her daughter. Yet, as weeks turned into agonizing months, hope began to wane. Lucy watched helplessly as her mother's condition deteriorated. She held her hand, whispered words of comfort, and tried to be the pillar of strength her mother had always been for her. The hospital became their second home, a place where time seemed to stand still. Lucy's world revolved around medical charts, sterile hallways, and the incessant beep of machines. Each day was marked by the slow drip of N4, the administering of medications, and the solemn visits from doctors bearing somber updates. The other patients and their families became a silent community of shared pain. Lucy would often find herself in the hospital's waiting room, surrounded by people who wore the same weary expressions. They exchanged knowing nods and sympathetic smiles, understanding the weight of each other's burdens. As Lucy's mother fought a relentless battle against her illness, Lucy herself fought a different battle, one against the encroaching darkness of despair. The teenage girl, who had once dreamed of a bright future, now found herself grappling with a fear that was too immense for her young heart to bear. High school, once a place of refuge from her struggles, became a battleground. Her grades, once a source of pride and hope, began to slip as the weight of her mother's illness pressed upon her. The bullies at school sensed her vulnerability and intensified their torment. Lucy felt isolated and overwhelmed, a ship adrift in a turbulent sea. The loneliness she felt at home, even in the presence of her ailing mother, was amplified at school. She longed for someone to confide in, to share her fears and heartaches. Yet, the walls she had built around herself, born from years of introversion and self-preservation, seemed impenetrable. Despite her own anguish, Lucy continued to visit her mother at the hospital every day after school. She would sit by her bedside, holding her mother's frail hand and silently willing her to recover. The room, once filled with the scent of antiseptic and hope, now seemed heavy with the sin of impending loss. One fateful night, as Lucy sat by her mother's side, their hands entwined, her mother mustered the strength to speak. Her voice, though weak, carried a sense of urgency that caught Lucy's attention. "Listen to me, my dear," her mother began, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and sorrow. "I need you to promise me something." Lucy nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "Anything, Mom. I promise." Her mother's grip on Lucy's hand tightened. "Promise me that you'll keep going, no matter what happens to me. You're strong, Lucy, stronger than you know. Don't let my illness define your future." Tears streamed down Lucy's face as she made the solemn promise her mother requested. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she couldn't bear to see her mother's worry in her final moments. Weeks turned into months, and Lucy's mother's health continued to deteriorate. The hospital room became a sanctuary of whispered conversations and unspoken goodbyes. Friends and family came and went, offering their support, but Lucy felt an increasing sense of isolation. One chilly, gray morning, Lucy awoke to the news she had been dreading. Her mother had passed away in her sleep, surrounded by the sterile white walls of the hospital room. The pain that ripped through Lucy's heart was unfathomable. She felt as though a part of her had been torn away, leaving an aching void that could never be filled. In the days that followed, Lucy was consumed by grief. The world outside continued to turn, but for her, time seemed to stand still. The modest apartment they had called home felt emptier than ever, haunted by memories of her mother's presence. It was a struggle for Lucy to envision a future without her mother's guidance and love. The world had become a colder, more hostile place, and the weight of her responsibilities pressed upon her young shoulders. She was now an orphan, a word that carried a heavy burden. Despite the darkness that threatened to engulf her, Lucy clung to the promise she had made to her mother. It was a lifeline, a reminder that even in the depths of despair, she had a purpose to fulfill. Graduating high school, pursuing her dreams, and building a life that would have made her mother proud became her unwavering goals. But the journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty and challenges. Lucy's path to healing and self-discovery would require resilience and strength she didn't yet fully comprehend. Her teenage years, once filled with dreams of escape and hope, had been reshaped by the harsh realities of loss and grief. Yet, she remained determined to honor her mother's memory and find her place in a world that had tested her in ways she never imagined. After the loss of her mother, Lucy was left to navigate the tumultuous waters of adulthood alone. The modest apartment they had once shared felt emptier than ever, its walls echoing with the memories of her mother's love and guidance. The weight of responsibility now rested squarely on Lucy's shoulders. Grief remained a constant companion in those early days. It was a heavy shroud that clung to her, making even the simplest tasks feel like insurmountable obstacles. The world outside continued to spin, but for Lucy, it had come to a screeching halt. The bills, which had always been a source of worry for her mother, now became Lucy's responsibility. She pored over them with a furrowed brow, trying to make sense of the jumble of numbers and due dates. The apartment was modest, but even the modest rent felt like a mountain to climb without her mother's steady income. The job market, as Lucy soon discovered, was a daunting landscape for a young woman with no formal education beyond high school. She applied for countless positions, filling out job applications and attending interviews with a sense of determination that masked her underlying anxiety. But finding stable employment was no easy feat. Employers seemed hesitant to hire someone with her limited work experience. Rejection emails and polite but disheartening interviews became a familiar, dispiriting routine. Lucy's days were marked by a constant undercurrent of anxiety, her future uncertain. She drifted from one job to another, each one a temporary refuge from the looming specter of financial instability. Retail, fast food, telemarketing, she took on whatever work she could find, all the while holding on to the belief that her determination would eventually lead her to a more stable future. Despite the uncertainty that plagued her, Lucy continued to visit the local diner where she had once worked as a waitress. It had become a ritual, a way to cling to the remnants of a life that had been shattered. The familiar faces of her former coworkers and the comforting aroma of sizzling bacon provided a small sense of continuity in her rapidly changing world. One evening, as Lucy sat at the counter nursing a cup of lukewarm coffee, a conversation between two customers caught her attention. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices tinged with excitement. The topic of their discussion was a recent job opening at a local art supply store. Lucy's heart skipped a beat. Art had always been her solace, her sanctuary in times of hardship. She had never dared to dream of a career in the art world. It had always felt like an unattainable fantasy. But the conversation she overheard ignited a spark of hope within her. Gathering her courage, Lucy approached the customers and inquired about the job opening. They were more than happy to share the details and encouraged her to apply. The prospect of working in an environment surrounded by art supplies, the very tools that had fueled her passion for years, filled Lucy with a newfound sense of purpose. She polished her resume, highlighting her artistic abilities and the art classes she had taken in high school. The interview for the position at the art supply store was nerve-wracking, but Lucy's genuine enthusiasm and love for art shone through. To her astonishment, she was hired. The job at the art supply store was a revelation for Lucy. It was a place where her passion for art could flourish, where she could engage with fellow artists, and where she felt a sense of belonging she had long yearned for. The environment was a nurturing one, and Lucy found herself learning and growing with each passing day. As she settled into her new job, Lucy began to rediscover her love for creating art. She spent her free time sketching, painting, and experimenting with different mediums. It was a form of therapy, a way to process her grief and transform it into something beautiful. One day, while browsing through the aisles of the store, she stumbled upon an advertisement for an upcoming local art exhibition. The theme was resilience and transformation, a theme that resonated deeply with Lucy. It felt as though the universe was sending her a message, urging her to take a bold step. With trembling hands, Lucy decided to submit some of her artwork to the exhibition. It was a daunting prospect, putting her vulnerable, heartfelt creations on display for the world to see. But it was also a chance to share her journey of resilience and transformation, a journey that had been marked by loss and hardship but had led her to a place of newfound hope and purpose. The days leading up to the exhibition were filled with a whirlwind of emotions. Lucy poured her heart and soul into her artwork, selecting pieces that conveyed the depth of her experiences and the strength of her spirit. It was a cathartic process, a way to confront her past and embrace her present. The night of the exhibition arrived, and Lucy stood before her displayed artwork, a mixture of pride and vulnerability washing over her. The room buzzed with the chatter of art enthusiasts, each piece drawing their attention and sparking conversations. As visitors perused her work, Lucy overheard snippets of their conversations. Words like emotional, captivating, and powerful filled the air. The depth of her art had touched something within them, resonating with their own journeys of resilience and transformation. Lucy's heart swelled with a sense of validation and belonging. It was a profound moment of realization. Her art had the power to connect with others, to convey emotions and stories that transcended words. It was a revelation that marked a turning point in her life. In the months that followed, Lucy's artwork gained recognition beyond the local exhibition. Her pieces were featured in art magazines, and she began receiving commissions from individuals who were moved by her work. It was a slow but steady ascent, a testament to her unwavering determination and the healing power of art. With each stroke of her paintbrush and each creation that flowed from her heart, Lucy found herself not only transforming her own life but also inspiring others to find strength in their struggles. Her story of navigating the stormy seas of adulthood, of persevering through loss and uncertainty, resonated with people from all walks of life. But amidst her newfound success, Lucy never forgot the promise she had made to her mother. She continued to honor her memory with each brushstroke, each canvas, and each artwork that bore the indelible mark of her resilience. The journey from a grief-stricken teenager to a flourishing artist had been a challenging one, but it had also been a testament to the power of hope, passion, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, transformation is possible. Lucy's path had been shaped by loss and adversity, but it had led her to a place of purpose, fulfillment, and the realization that her dreams were within reach. As she stood before her easel, lost in the world of colors and emotions, Lucy knew that her story was far from over. There were countless canvases waiting to be filled, each one a new chapter in her journey of resilience and transformation. And with each stroke of her paintbrush, she would continue to paint the beautiful tapestry of her life, a life marked by the triumph of the human spirit. Lucy's life had undergone a profound transformation. From the depths of grief and financial instability, she had emerged as a flourishing artist, finding solace and success in her work. The modest apartment that had once felt empty and haunted was now filled with the vibrant colors of her canvases and the whispers of her dreams. But amidst the newfound stability and purpose that art had brought to her life, there was still a lingering sense of solitude. Lucy had grown accustomed to her own company, finding solace in the quiet moments of creation. Her world was one of introspection and artistry, and she had accepted it as her reality. One ordinary morning, as the sun cast a warm glow across her studio apartment, Lucy decided to take a break from her work. She put down her paintbrush and stretched her arms, feeling the pleasant ache in her muscles. The city outside her window was alive with the hustle and bustle of daily life, a stark contrast to the solitude within her studio. Feeling the need for a change of scenery, Lucy decided to visit her favorite neighborhood diner. It had been a while since she had stepped out for a meal, and the idea of enjoying a cup of coffee and a stack of pancakes seemed inviting. Little did she know that this seemingly ordinary decision would lead to an encounter that would change her life in ways she could never have imagined. As Lucy entered the diner, the familiar sights and sounds greeted her like an old friend. The aroma of sizzling bacon and freshly brewed coffee filled the air. She took a seat at the counter and exchanged a warm smile with the waitress, a friendly face she had come to know over the years. The diner was a place of simple pleasures, where time seemed to slow down. It was a stark contrast to the fast-paced world outside, and Lucy appreciated the tranquility it offered. She ordered her usual, a cup of coffee and a plate of pancakes, and settled in to savor the moment. As she sipped her coffee and gazed out the window, Lucy noticed a man sitting a few stools away. He was well-dressed, with a confident air about him. His posture exuded a sense of self-assuredness, and his gaze seemed to scan the room with a mix of curiosity and warmth. Their eyes met briefly, and Lucy couldn't help but offer a polite smile. To her surprise, the man returned the gesture, his lips curling into a friendly grin. It was a small, fleeting moment of connection, but it left an impression on both of them. Lucy returned her attention to her meal, savoring the familiar flavors of pancakes drizzled with syrup. The man, however, seemed to be engrossed in his own thoughts. He glanced at his watch, checked his phone, and then turned his gaze back to Lucy. Feeling a bit self-conscious under his gaze, Lucy decided to strike up a conversation. "Nice day, isn't it?" she ventured, hoping to break the ice. The man's eyes lit up, and he nodded enthusiastically. "It is indeed. I've always loved the charm of this neighborhood. My name's Daniel, by the way." Lucy introduced herself with a warm smile, and they began to chat. The initial awkwardness dissolved quickly as they found common ground in their appreciation for the diner's comfort food and the nostalgic ambience of the neighborhood. As the conversation flowed, Lucy learned that Daniel was a regular visitor to the diner, much like herself. He had a keen interest in local art and often attended exhibitions and gallery openings. Lucy, despite her reserved nature, found herself opening up about her own artistic journey. Daniel listened attentively, his genuine interest evident in the way he asked questions and encouraged her to share more. Lucy talked about the healing power of art, her passion for creating, and the sense of purpose it had brought to her life. Their conversation meandered through various topics, from favorite books to travel adventures. It was as if they were two old friends catching up, despite having just met. The atmosphere in the diner seemed to shift, becoming infused with a warm and welcoming energy. As the morning turned to afternoon, Lucy realized that she had spent hours talking to Daniel. It was a rare occurrence for her, as she was not one to engage in lengthy conversations with strangers. Yet, something about Daniel's presence had put her at ease. Eventually, the conversation turned to their future plans. Daniel shared that he was an art dealer with a passion for discovering and promoting emerging artists. Lucy was intrigued by his profession, and he mentioned that he was always on the lookout for new talent to showcase in his gallery. The idea of having her art displayed in a prestigious gallery felt like a distant dream to Lucy. She had never considered her work to be on par with the artists she admired. But Daniel, with his discerning eye and genuine interest in her art, saw something in her work that she couldn't see in herself. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Lucy decided to show him some of her artwork. She had a few pieces stored on her phone, and she hesitantly shared them with Daniel. His reaction was nothing short of astonishing. Daniel's eyes widened as he scrolled through her digital portfolio. He was captivated by the raw emotion and depth in her pieces, each one a testament to her journey of resilience and transformation. He saw the potential for her work to resonate with a broader audience, to touch hearts and evoke emotions. "You have an incredible talent, Lucy," Daniel said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "Your art tells a powerful story, one of strength, healing, and hope. I believe it deserves to be seen by the world." Lucy's heart swelled with a mixture of emotions. It was a moment she had never dared to imagine, the possibility of her art being showcased in a gallery, of her story reaching people she had never met. It was a turning point, a crossroads that held the promise of a brighter future. As their conversation came to a close, Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. He handed it to Lucy with a warm smile. "If you ever decide to take that leap and share your art with the world, please don't hesitate to reach out to me," he said. Lucy accepted the card with gratitude, her mind racing with possibilities. She had never expected her visit to the diner to lead to such a serendipitous encounter. It was as if fate had intervened, nudging her toward a path she had never dared to explore. As she left the diner that day, Lucy's heart was filled with a newfound sense of hope. The chance meeting with Daniel had opened a door to opportunities she had once considered beyond her reach. The prospect of her art being showcased in a gallery felt like a dream on the verge of becoming a reality. Little did she know that this unexpected encounter was just the beginning of a remarkable journey, one that would challenge her in ways she had never imagined and lead her down a path of self-discovery, creativity, and a profound connection with the world of art. The canvas of her life was about to be painted with vibrant hues of possibility and transformation, all ignited by the simple act of sharing a conversation with a stranger in a cozy neighborhood diner. Lucy's life had taken an unexpected turn after her encounter with Daniel. The possibility of her art being showcased in a gallery had ignited a fire within her, a burning desire to share her story and creations with the world. It was a journey filled with both excitement and trepidation, a path she had never imagined she would walk. The days following her meeting with Daniel were a whirlwind of artistic fervor. Lucy delved into her work with renewed enthusiasm, pouring her heart and soul into each piece. Her studio apartment became a sanctuary of creativity, a place where her emotions and experiences found expression on canvas. As she prepared her portfolio for submission to Daniel's gallery, Lucy couldn't help but reflect on the transformative power of art. It had been her refuge during the darkest moments of her life, a means of processing grief and healing emotional wounds. Now, it had become a beacon of hope, guiding her toward a future filled with promise. The pieces she selected for her portfolio were a reflection of her journey, from the depths of loss and adversity to the blossoming of resilience and creativity. Each brushstroke carried a piece of her heart, and every color she chose conveyed emotions that words could not capture. It was a deeply personal collection, and Lucy felt vulnerable yet empowered by the prospect of sharing it with others. With her portfolio in hand, Lucy contacted Daniel to arrange a meeting. They agreed to meet at a cozy cafe in the heart of the city, a place where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the hum of creative conversations. It was the perfect setting for their discussion. As Lucy arrived at the cafe, she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The weight of her dreams and aspirations bore down on her as she approached their designated table. Daniel, with his characteristic warmth and enthusiasm, stood to greet her. They exchanged pleasantries, but Lucy could sense the anticipation in the air. She placed her portfolio on the table, and as Daniel began to flip through its pages, a hush fell over their conversation. His eyes moved from one piece to another, absorbing the depth and emotion in each artwork. Lucy watched his reactions closely, her heart pounding in her chest. It was as if her entire artistic journey was laid bare before him, a journey that had carried her from the depths of grief to the heights of creativity. The silence stretched on, but it was a silence filled with understanding and appreciation. Finally, Daniel looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of admiration and excitement. "Lucy, your work is truly remarkable," he said. "It's honest, emotional, and profoundly moving. I believe it deserves to be showcased in our gallery." The words sent a surge of euphoria through Lucy's veins. It was a moment of validation, a recognition of her talent, and the power of her art to connect with others. She thanked Daniel, her voice filled with gratitude, and they discussed the details of her upcoming exhibition. Over the following weeks, Lucy immersed herself in the preparations for her first solo show. It was a whirlwind of activity as she collaborated with Daniel and the gallery's team to curate her artwork and design the exhibition space. The prospect of seeing her pieces on display for the public filled her with a sense of exhilaration and nervousness. The exhibition was aptly titled, Resilience and Transformation, The Art of Lucy, a reflection of the themes that had shaped her artistic journey. The anticipation leading up to the opening night was palpable, and Lucy's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. On the evening of the exhibition, the gallery was bathed in soft, warm lighting that accentuated the vibrant colors of Lucy's artwork. The space buzzed with the chatter of art enthusiasts, collectors, and friends who had come to support her. It was a diverse crowd, a testament to the universal appeal of her art. Lucy stood in front of her pieces, surrounded by a sea of faces. It was a surreal moment, a culmination of years of hard work, resilience, and unwavering determination. Her artwork, once a source of solace during her darkest moments, now hung proudly on the gallery walls, telling a story of transformation and hope. As visitors moved from one piece to another, Lucy overheard snippets of conversations that warmed her heart. Words like powerful, captivating, and emotional were whispered among the crowd. Her art had touched a chord with those who viewed it, resonating with their own experiences of resilience and transformation. One of the visitors, a woman in her 40s, approached Lucy with tears in her eyes. She shared her own journey of loss and healing, expressing how deeply Lucy's art had moved her. It was a moment of connection, a reminder of the profound impact art could have on people's lives. As the evening unfolded, Lucy couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment that surpassed her wildest dreams. Her mother's memory and the promise she had made to her were woven into every stroke of her paintbrush, and they had led her to this moment of triumph. The success of her exhibition garnered attention from art enthusiasts and critics alike. Lucy's work was featured in local newspapers and art magazines, and the demand for her pieces began to grow. Commissions poured in from individuals who were moved by her story and the emotions conveyed in her art. But amidst the newfound recognition and opportunities, Lucy remained grounded in her roots. She continued to visit the neighborhood diner, where her journey had taken an unexpected turn. The cozy cafe became a place of reflection, a reminder of the chance encounter with Daniel that had set her on this path. One day, as Lucy sipped her coffee and gazed out the window, she received a text message from Daniel. It was an invitation to an upcoming international art fair, where he hoped to showcase her work to a global audience. The prospect of such an opportunity was both thrilling and daunting. Lucy accepted the invitation, knowing that it would be a significant step in her artistic journey. It was a chance to share her art with a wider audience, to connect with fellow artists, and to further her career. The road ahead was filled with uncertainties, but Lucy had learned that resilience and transformation were at the core of her story. As she left the diner that day, her heart was filled with gratitude for the twists and turns that had brought her to this point. The journey from a grief-stricken teenager to a celebrated artist had been a challenging one, but it had also been a testament to the power of hope, passion, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, transformation is possible. Lucy's story was far from over. It was a journey that would continue to unfold, a canvas waiting to be painted with the colors of possibility and the strokes of resilience. And as she looked to the future, she knew that the greatest masterpiece of her life was yet to come. Lucy's journey had taken her to unimaginable heights in the world of art. Her paintings had adorned prestigious galleries, her name had become synonymous with resilience and transformation, and her story had inspired countless individuals around the globe. But as with any story, there were moments of both triumph and tragedy, and Lucy's life was no exception. As Lucy's career flourished, her health began to falter. It started with subtle signs, an occasional bout of fatigue, a persistent cough, and a nagging weakness that she tried to dismiss as mere exhaustion. She was so absorbed in her art and the whirlwind of exhibitions that she often neglected her own well-being. One evening, after a particularly demanding exhibition, Lucy returned to her studio apartment feeling more drained than ever. Her body had become a canvas of discomfort, and the weight of exhaustion pressed down on her like an anchor. She knew it was time to seek medical attention. The diagnosis was devastating advanced-stage cancer. The news struck like a bolt of lightning, shattering the vibrant colors of her life into a dark, foreboding palette. Lucy's world, which had been filled with hope and possibility, now hung in the balance. The treatment that followed was grueling, countless chemotherapy sessions, surgeries, and the relentless battle against the relentless disease. Lucy's art, which had once been her solace, now took a back seat to the fight for her life. Her once vibrant studio became a sterile, cold hospital room. Throughout the painful treatments, Lucy clung to her art as a lifeline. She continued to sketch and paint, not as a renowned artist seeking recognition, but as a wounded soul seeking solace and a flicker of hope. Her canvases bore the scars of her struggle, each brushstroke a testament to her unwavering spirit. Her friends and supporters rallied around her, offering their love, encouragement, and unwavering belief in her strength. Among them, Daniel remained a steadfast presence, standing by her side during the darkest moments of her journey. He was no longer just a fellow artist and collaborator, but a true friend. As the months passed, the toll of the disease on Lucy's body became more apparent. Her once lustrous hair thinned, her skin paled, and her energy waned. Yet, through the physical pain and emotional turmoil, she clung to the belief that art could be a source of healing, even in the face of mortality. One day, Daniel visited Lucy in the hospital, bearing a small gift, a set of watercolor paints and a blank sketchbook. He encouraged her to continue creating, even in the sterile environment of the hospital room. Lucy accepted the gift with a weak smile, grateful for the opportunity to immerse herself in her art once more. With trembling hands, she dipped her brush into the vibrant hues of the watercolors and began to paint. The strokes were feeble, the lines uncertain, but each mark on the paper was a testament to her resilience and determination. As she painted, the world outside her hospital window seemed to blur into a distant backdrop, and for a fleeting moment, she found solace in the world of colors and creativity. But as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Lucy's strength continued to wane. The disease had taken a relentless hold on her body, leaving her frail and bedridden. Her once vibrant spirit, which had fueled her artistic journey, was now a flickering candle in the gathering darkness. On a quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lucy lay in her hospital bed, surrounded by her paintings and the memories of a life well lived. Daniel sat by her side, his presence a comforting anchor in her fading world. Lucy's voice, which had once been a source of inspiration and storytelling, had grown weak and raspy. She turned to Daniel with tear-filled eyes and whispered, "Thank you for believing in me, for seeing the colors in my life when all I could see were shadows." Daniel's eyes glistened with unshed tears as he held her frail hand. "You've brought so much beauty and inspiration into the world, Lucy," he said. "Your art has touched countless lives, and your resilience has been a beacon of hope. You've made a lasting impact." In those final moments, Lucy's thoughts drifted to her mother, the woman who had been her guiding light in the darkest of times. She whispered a silent prayer, expressing her love and gratitude for the unwavering support and the promise she had made to honor her memory. As the night deepened, Lucy's breathing grew labored, and her eyes fluttered closed. She slipped into a peaceful slumber, surrounded by the colors of her own creation. In that quiet, sacred space, she found release from the pain and a final moment of solace. The following morning, the world awoke to the news of Lucy's passing. Her journey, marked by resilience and transformation, had come to an end. The vibrant colors of her art and the indomitable spirit of her story lived on in the hearts of those who had been touched by her life and her work. Her legacy continued to shine, a beacon of inspiration for aspiring artists, a reminder of the power of art to heal, and a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Lucy's world of colors had faded, but the impact of her journey would forever illuminate the canvas of the world. And in the quiet corners of a neighborhood diner, where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingered, her story lived on, a tale of triumph and tragedy, resilience and transformation, and the enduring power of art to transcend even the darkest of times.